Good afternoon, dear students. Today we're going to work and continue working on how to sell things. And today we're going to work on using some language techniques in order to be persuasive and sell things. So we're going to create some or to study some useful techniques in order to write or talk using language techniques to be persuasive using techniques. So we're going to start with the technique number one, that is the using evidence and facts. In persuasive piece of writing, we use the facts, statistics and evidence to support or back up arguments. For example, this is very useful when you want to sell something. You can use facts and you can use evidence to show that the thing that you're talking about is very important and very uh, and can be persuasive because the facts give more support to the idea that you want to sell or the service or the product that you want to sell. Here's an example. For example, in a speech discussing the dangers of drinking driving, for example, we can say drink driving facilities accounted for 32% of the road for toll last year alone. As you can see, uh, here we're talking about drinking while driving or driving while drinking. And we can, for example, say something the amount of people that have accidents if they drink and drive at the same time. This is a very important fact that they can take into account, and for sure, they are going to be aware of the situation. So, technique number two, use inclusive language. To be inclusive is to make people feel involved, making your audience feel connected to your argument and important aspects of convincing them that you are right. For example, if you use inclusive language, you as the seller can, for example, try to use language in which the user feels involved. For example, in a speech of encouraging people to help fight against pollution, you can say something like this. It is up to all of us to get involved and make our lifestyle environment friendly. We are part of the problem and we can all be part of the solution. As you can see, we give the audience a sense that they are involved in the thing that you're trying to sell or the service that you're going to provide, that you want to provide. So if they feel involved, they are more likely to buy the thing that you're selling. Technique number three, using emotional language. This is very important when you try to use emotional language. For example, you can uh, make the person that is listening feel emotional attracted to the product that you are selling. For example, it is important to think about how our topic makes people feel. A convenience argument uses emotional language and ideas to convince the audience. For example, in a speech about the dangers of smoking, you can say something like this. Once damage dangers of smoking have set in, they cannot be reversed. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are, the horrific effects are the same. As you can see in this example, we are trying to involve the user, the final user, uh, in an emotional thing, in an emotional way, so that they can feel that the product that you're selling or the service make something good or can make something bad to the person that is buying the product. So we can use emotional language for that. Another strategy is, for example, ethics and morals. They have to do a lot of with the thing that I said before. But in this case, we're going to try to use ethics and morals to make the person that is listening or that is reading feel involved also. So, for example, people are more likely to be persuaded if they feel that they are making a right decision. If you appeal to people's sense of justice, what they believe is right or wrong, they might be more likely to agree with your position. For example, in a speech of giving people the right to vote, you can say something like this, or you can write something like this. If we only allow certain people to vote, we are electing leaders that do not truly represent that people. That is ethically wrong. Okay, that is technique number 4. Now we're going to work on technique number 5, that is to call self-interest. For example, trying to convince someone to agree with you mean appealing to their self-interest, their needs and wants. They will be more likely to agree with you if they stand to benefit in some way. Here is, for example, when you make the person think that buying your products can benefit them in some way. For example, a speaker trying to convince someone to donate to charity, you can or you may say, for every cent you donate to our cause, you will receive a 5 gift voucher. So as you can see, they spend 10, for example, dollars or pesos, and the half of that spent is going to be back to the person that is buying the product that you're selling. So this is a very good technique because they are called their self-interest, because they think that they are buying something and at the same time are receiving more things that they expect. Technique number 6, rhetorical question. This is a very popular thing that we can use in order to when we want to make a person think about our products is by making a rhetorical question. Rhetorical questions do not require an answer. They encourage a passive audience to engage directly by promoting their own thoughts and feelings, which is considered yours. For example, in a speech against the use of laptops in the classroom, you can say something like this: do you really want your sons and daughters to wake up at your age and not be able to spell, not be able to write? As you can see, there are two questions that doesn't require an answer, but may the person that is listening or that is reading think about the situation that is uh, in the writing. So this is very important and very useful. And finally, we can use imperative. We can give some commands to the person that is listening or writing. For example, imperative at commanding words. If something is imperative, it demands attention immediately. By using these command words, the situation sounds important and the speaker often has serious tone. As you can see, this is very useful. And finally, we use some superlative. For example, superlative with ends with est or follow the word most. They are words that describe the strength of something and can be very persuasive. Pollution is the largest city of health concern in this country. Contamination is the most dangerous symptom of our poor treatment to our environment. As you can see, these situations or this using of superlative shows a very serious tone, and the person that is reading or writing or listening feels very that the topic is very important and it will require immediately attention. So these are some of the techniques that we can use to make our readings or our writings or our listenings more serious, and we can use these techniques to call the user attention. So thank you very for your attention.